If you're a B2B SaaS founder trying to figure out how to actually scale your company to 100K MRR and beyond, this video is for you. For context, our agency has worked with dozens of 7- and 8-figure SaaS and tech companies, installing complete client acquisition systems that have generated millions of dollars in ARR, hundreds of book demos per month, and predictable pipeline growth across the board. So it's fair to say we know what's actually working right now in B2B SaaS, not what worked 2 or 3 years ago. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact stage-by-stage blueprint to get you your SaaS from wherever you're at right now to 100K MRR and beyond. We'll cover what offer you should look at each stage, what channels to prioritize when to hire, and the systems you need in place before you scale. By the end of this video, you'll have a full blueprint you can actually execute. You don't have to worry about burning your runway on the wrong channels, without hiring too early or too late, and without making the mistakes that keep most founders stuck between 10K and 50K MRR for years. So let's get into it. Stage 1 is 0 to 10K in monthly recurring revenue. And this is where we prove the thing actually works. Your only job here is to get to a product market fit signal. At this stage, you are not scaling, you are simply validating. Your entire focus is on proving that someone will pay for this, stay for this, and get real value from this. That's it. You don't want to build more features, don't start hiring a team, don't just start running ads. Just get paying users and learn from them very quickly. Now, in order to do that, you need a very easy way to get your first customers. And that means you need a low friction, high value entry offer. And here's what actually works. Here, you're going to close every deal yourself. You don't have a sales team yet, but that's the point. When you're the founder doing the selling, you learn what people actually care about and where your pitch falls flat. And we're not going for home run deals here. Definitely charge something, but keep it cheap. You can run a heavy discount or pilot pricing is perfectly fine. Just don't give it away for free, because free users usually don't care enough to give you real feedback. Now, if you do discount your prices, just run a 30-day sprint. Tell them, let's get you a specific result in 30 days. If we hit that, you roll into a full contract. This gives you a clear deadline and a real chance to prove value, and it allows them to work for it. Because the pilot only counts if they actually show up, connect their data, and use the thing. If they won't do that, at a minimum, they weren't serious anyways. And as you're doing founder-led sales, don't ask strangers to sign up for a year-long contract. Just way too much commitment up front. Make it stupidly easy to say yes right now, and then you can always tighten the terms later once they know you're worth it. Now, looking at your niche in ICP, you probably don't truly know this yet, and that's perfectly okay. At this stage, take meetings in multiple verticals if you have to. But as you do this, be sure to track everything. Who converts the fastest, who gets the best results, who refers others, who's churning. The ICP will eventually reveal itself in the data. Now, with that being said, if you do have a background in a specific industry, start there. It's going to give you your most natural unfair advantage, because at this point, between 0 to 10K MRR, customer acquisition should be 90% of your focus. So pick one channel and then drill into it. Whether that be reaching out to your existing network or something like Founder Outbound, where you send cold emails, cold LinkedIn DMs, cold video pitches. At this stage, make it personalized, targeted, and human. Don't rely too much on automations and kind of mass sends. And with that being said, you can run something called the Dream 100. This is where you identify your top 100 dream customers and go all out with them. Anything of value you have, nurture them with it until they book a call. Or you could go the community play. So you join Slack groups, start speaking in forums, join communities where your ICP actually hangs out. If you do this, be genuinely helpful. Don't just start pitching in public. Build trust over time, provide value, and then maybe start a DM conversation and convert people privately. My recommendation is take a stab at all three, and then pair whichever outbound channel you choose with at least one content channel. So whether that be YouTube videos like this one, you can post on LinkedIn or go all in on Twitter. Even at $0 MRR, you can't be a ghost online. When a prospect gets your cold email and starts to Google you, they need to find something. And still in this 0 to 10K MRR range, next we want to focus on collecting case studies. If you have no case studies, do a paid pilot with 2 to 3 of your ideal customers. Again, make it extremely low risk for them and put a case study clause in the agreement. If you hit the defined result, they owe you a testimonial on camera. This is how you build social proof fast without lying or faking anything. Give them something easy to say yes to, and then tie it all together, get yourself some social proof. Then at this stage, looking at your team, at this point, it's probably just you. You might have one contractor or a part-time VA. That's it. Expect to be doing sales, delivery, product feedback loops, everything. This is the grind phase. Own it and make it enjoyable as you can. And this is what you're actually building towards here. You need to get your first 5 to 10 paying customers. your first 2 to 3 case studies with real ROI numbers. What value are you providing? And then use that to paint a clear story about who gets results from your product and why. And then going on to this, you've got a few customers on the platform. You should have a pretty dialed in sales scripts and objection handling process as well. You should aim to get out of this stage in the first 60 to 90 days max. It should be an all-out sprint through here. And through this stage, you just need to track your daily inputs, not just revenue. So how many outreach contacts are you sending per day? How many meetings are getting booked? How many demos are being conducted? You should track at least 50 plus personalized contacts per day across outreach and follow-up. If you're not doing at least that, then don't wonder why you're not growing. Now we move into stage 2, and this is 10K to 30K MRR. This is where we want to build a repeatable sales motion. We've got our signal now it's time to build the machine. You know the product works, you know who buys it and why. Now it's time to stop relying on vibes and build a repeatable, documented sales and onboarding process. To do so, we should start to evolve our offer a little bit as well. So we should do what we call is develop the offer stack. So you should have your core offer, which could be your full SaaS subscription. It's just going to be your main product with full onboarding and support. You can have an intro and sprint offer. This is a lower risk, shorter commitment entry point. For example, this could be a 45-day implementation sprint with a specific deliverable and a conditional money back guarantee. Then on the flip side of that, you can also have upsells. So you've got additional seats, premium tier services, done for you implementation, you name it. Then we should also keep making use of what got us from 0 to 10K MRR, and that's the intro offer. Again, this just gives prospects a lower risk on-ramp while still getting money in the door. It also just filters out non-serious buyers pretty quickly. And as we start to move past 20K MRR, this is when we want to start to add in paid acquisition. Because at this point, you can afford to test paid, and the platform I want you to start on is Meta. And I know what you might be thinking. Meta is for e-commerce, it's for coaches, which is absolutely wrong. Meta is the most underrated B2B acquisition channel right now, full stop. Here's why. Because your buyers are humans, and humans are on Facebook and Instagram. The CFO you're trying to reach, the VP of Ops, the SaaS founder, they're scrolling Meta at 7 p.m. just like everybody else. You can reach them there for a fraction of what LinkedIn charges. LinkedIn ads or even Google nowadays, they can run up to $15 to $25 per click, whereas on Meta, you can get qualified B2B traffic for just $2 to $5 per click with the right creative. The math isn't even close. Our bet is on Meta every single time. Now, the key to making Meta successful is the creative and your targeting. You need to speak to a specific pain point for your specific ICP, and Meta's algorithm will find them. So start at $50 to $150 per day, test 3 to 4 hooks, and don't touch your budget until you have your data. Your job is finding the one hook and the one CTA that converts before you scale spend. And as we start to drive more leads, we also want to focus on the sales process. Through this stage, you need a documented, repeatable sales process. So that means you need a clear discovery script. You should not just be winging it anymore. You need a pre-call nurture sequence so prospects show up warm to your demo calls. You need a vault of objection responses for the top 5 objections you hear, 5 plus if you've got more than that. And then you need a follow-up cadence after the call. So most of your deals are going to close in the follow-up, not on the call. Again, don't just focus on one part of the puzzle, build the whole thing out. Now we've got our leads coming in, we've got our sales process dialed in. Let's focus on sharpening your ICP as well. You've now had enough conversations and closed enough deals to start making some real decisions. So which segment closes the fastest, which gets the best results and is least likely to churn, which segment has the highest LTV. Double down on the answer to those questions. Start tailoring your message, your outreach, your content to that specific ICP. And this next insight might actually be the most important out of all of these, and that's the mindset shift you need. You are a business owner now through and through. And the number one thing that kills founders at this stage, they're still acting like a freelancer or a solopreneur. So they hoard the work, they refuse to delegate, and don't invest back into the business. You have to start investing, whether that be in coaching and tools and small contractors and real-time onboarding processes. If you keep doing everything yourself, you will stay exactly where you are. So do a time audit of yourself right now and find the first 3 to 5 tasks you can hand off. And once you've identified those, let's take a look at your team. At minimum, I'd expect it to be you plus 1 or 2 contractors handling delivery or implementation. You should be spending the majority of your time on sales and marketing, not customer success tickets. And tying into that, as well as making sure your time management is dialed in, let's look at your tech stack. By this point, you should have a proper CRM with pipeline tracking. You should know exactly how many leads you're generating, how many are closing. You need a project management tool for internal ops. make sure everything is getting handled in the day-to-day. Should probably have an internal communication tool as well. I'd recommend Slack, super basic. And then also, if you don't have this already, super important, we're now getting leads, we're closing the leads. Make sure you've got basic onboarding automation so clients that do sign don't fall through the cracks as soon as they close. Now looking at stage 3, this is going to be 30K to 70K MRR. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it is scale what's working. You have a proven offer, now pour fuel on it. This is one of the most exciting and most dangerous stages. The offer works, the model works, but this is also where a lot of founders thrash. You've got some budget to work with, so you start turning things off before they work, you start chasing shiny objects, you get distracted by product instead of distribution. So my rule here is commit to minimum 90 days on any new channel or strategy before I evaluate it. Keep in mind I said minimum 90 days. Ideally, we take it up to 6 months or 180 days. Like, you cannot run cold email for 3 weeks and conclude it doesn't work. Same thing with ads, same thing with LinkedIn outreach. Give things time, keep the marketing engine running at all times, because clients aren't just going to spawn out of thin air. Then focusing even more on the acquisition engine, by this stage, you should have at least 3 working acquisition channels. You should have paid, so meta ads as your primary channel. You should have scaled out of the testing phase by now, and then you can start to layer in YouTube retargeting once you have creative volume. LinkedIn, you can add this in as a secondary channel, but only if your ACV justifies the cost per clicks and the cost per acquisition. Your outbound, this should be running at all times. Cold emails, LinkedIn outreach, you can systemize this at this stage, you can automate it, or you can possibly delegate it to an SDR. And we also said you should start running this one at 0 to 10K MRR, and that's a content channel. Whether that be YouTube, LinkedIn content, or even a newsletter building an audience you already own, really start to capitalize on content here. Then across all of these different channels, you should be tracking everything, whether that be in your CRM or even signing up with an attribution software. You need to know what's actually closing deals, not just what's generating traffic. And another tip here that I just touched on a second ago would add email marketing to your owned list. So not cold outbound, but actually nurturing the prospects that are already in your system. If you've been capturing leads through content, ads, lead magnets, now is the time to start a systematic nurture sequence to your email list. So run weekly value emails, occasional offers, monthly case studies. This is how you convert the people sitting on the fence who aren't ready to buy yet into closed deals. Then we want to look at hiring. And this is going to be one of your most important decisions. And this is the lever that most founders pull way too late. Between 30K to 70K MRR, this is where you need to make your first real hire. Not a VA, not some offshore contractor for $500 a month, but a real high quality person. This is typically someone who can own one major function in your business. Typically, your first big SaaS hire, you want them to own customer success and onboarding. So your head of CS, your implementation lead, or a senior account manager, someone who can communicate at a high level, manage relationships, and keep your churn low. And you're going to want to start to pay these people pretty well. So $70,000 to $120,000 plus per year. It is going to sting, but you need to do it anyways, especially if they're in this role we're describing. Churn kills a lot of SaaS companies. If you make a great CS hire, it's directly going to tie to your NRR, which ultimately impacts your MRR month after month. Now, if you are trying to get out of these responsibilities, please do not just throw a low-cost offshore person at your customer base and remove yourself. That's how you're going to lose accounts. You want to stay close to client relationships until you have real systems and a real person who can own them. So what happens the moment a deal closes through that customer's first 90 days? You need SOPs for QBRs or check-in calls. How do you measure and communicate value to your customers? Again, we want to make sure churn is reduced as much as possible. So make sure that communication is dialed in. What happens if a customer needs escalating? So what happens when a customer is unhappy or at risk? What does that new hire do? Be sure to SOP that. Same thing for renewals. If a prospect has a renewal process they're going through, make sure that starts 90 days before the contract ends. Another big lesson here is you want to start running cash sweeps, whether that be monthly or quarterly. These go beyond just regular pipeline, so create a secondary conversion mechanism for people sitting on the sidelines. Whether that be monthly webinars, live demos, virtual workshops, or just seasonal promotions, run a reactivation campaign. The leads who went cold 90 days ago with a different offer or angle. These cash sweeps consistently bring in deals from your existing list without any new acquisition cost. You've already done the heavy lifting for content. You've already spent money on ads. Collect all of those people, throw them in another batch and remarket to them, get them closed. They're out there. They took an interest initially for a reason. Don't let them go to waste. And as you continue to scale, especially into this next stage, become known for one thing. Publicly, you should be hammering one central message over and over again. Pick one category and own it. If you're a revenue intelligence platform for mid-market SaaS, say that 5,000 times, say it 10,000 times, say it 100,000 times. Don't try to be everything for everyone. The clearest positioning wins. Then stage 4, this is 70K to 100K MRR. This is where we really start to build the company. You are no longer a startup, so you need to start to act like it. At this stage, you are running a real business. People depend on you for their livelihood. You have customers who bet their workflows on your product. You have a team that needs leadership, not just management. And the biggest shift at this stage is no longer tactical, it's really just psychological. You have to step into the role of CEO, not just a founder who does everything. That means building systems, developing your team, and protecting your time ruthlessly. So start building a support cast under your senior hire, and that might look like an SDR or BDR to fill up your pipeline with qualified meetings, an AE or a closer if the volume warrants it. Again, very clear there, you need volume. A customer success associate under your customer success lead, or a content person or agency to maintain your content engine. Whichever area you feel you need the most help in, go get that, fill that role. Give everyone a clearly defined scope. Don't just hire a jack of all trades and expect them to do everything. Pick one bottleneck, hire to solve that bottleneck, and then move on to the next one. Then looking at your sales team, this is the stage where you can really start, and you might be able to justify it a little earlier, of scaling yourself out of founder-led sales. If you're not already using an appointment setter or an SDR, start now. But again, to emphasize, only if you have the volume to justify it. They need qualified meetings to work, or they'll just leave, even if you get somebody really good. So before hiring, make sure your inbound and outbound systems are generating enough pipeline. Then document your sales playbook before handing it off. So record your calls, write out your objection responses, build a resource vault your closer can reference. Just makes the handoff much smoother. This is the time to start being selective. So you can raise prices on lower paying customers. You can fire the chronically difficult ones who drain your team's energy and make noise. Focus on CS resources on the customers who represent your ideal profile. So high LTV, good fit, low churn risk. Serving the wrong customer at this stage is no longer just inefficient. It's actually damaging to the brand, to the customer, to the team. Then pair all of this with robust systems. So good systems means a B player can produce an A player results. So that means document your onboarding and delivery playbooks, automate touch points and check-ins, daily, weekly team reporting, what got done, what's blocked, and then a clear escalation and account health tracking process. You really shouldn't be the single point of failure for any critical process in the business anymore. Your next point of emphasis in this range is going to be scale ads and content. By this point, you have enough data to know what's working in your paid acquisition. If Meta is converting, and it should be, scale it up. Increase budget incrementally, maybe 20 to 30% per week max. Launch new creative angles and build out a full funnel. So cold audience ads at the top, retargeting for people who've engaged or visited your site, and conversion-focused ads for your warmest leads. Don't abandon a working meta funnel to chase LinkedIn vanity metrics. Scale the winners, cut the losers, double down your content output. You should be everywhere your ICP is consuming content. So YouTube, LinkedIn, email, podcast. Marketing compounds fast at this stage. The earlier you build an audience, the more leverage you're going to have later. And coming back to what I said earlier, a lot of advancements at this stage come back to your psychological capabilities. So you need to start protecting your time. Your time is worth more now than it was at 10K MRR substantially. So start treating it that way. Ruthlessly eliminate anything that doesn't move the needle. Low leverage meetings, tasks somebody else could own, distractions in your personal life that drain energy you need for the business. Your only job is high leverage. So vision, top deals, hiring great people, and keeping that flywheel spinning. And once you've got that down, you should be able to rip into stage 5, which is 100K and MRR and beyond. This could be a whole video on its own. At this stage, the game becomes about building a company that compounds, not just month over month, but year after year. So that means hiring A players at every level and paying well for great talent. Again, don't be cheap here. Great copywriters, great engineers, great salespeople. Start to build a real sales org as well. So you need SDRs, AEs, customer success, RevOps, everything in between. Market from every angle simultaneously. content, paid, outbound, partnerships, events, you name it. Then on you personally, protect your calendar like it's your most valuable asset, because it really is. You need to start building systems and processes that let great people do great work without needing you in every single decision. The biggest mistake I see founders make at this level is staying in the weeds. So get out, hire well, build systems, and be the strategic leader that your company needs. So that's the exact blueprint to scale your B2B SaaS company to 100K MRR and beyond, stage by stage. From getting your first 10 paying customers and building a repeatable sales motion, to scaling meta ads as your primary acquisition channel, making your first real hire, and building the systems that let the whole thing run without you being in every single room. And if you actually implement everything I just broke down, there's no reason you can't scale predictably and do it faster than you think. But let's be real, doing this on your own might be a nightmare. You'd have to build out the full meta ads funnel from scratch, map your ICP and psychographic avatars, produce enough creative volume to actually test properly. You got to set up a pre-call nurture process, build onboarding and CS systems, make the right hire at the right time, and manage all of this while you're still running your actual product and business. Most SaaS founders who try to do this alone either give up after 60 days or spend 6 to 12 months figuring it out themselves while they just burn through runway with nothing to show for it. That's exactly why I'd rather just install this entire system for you. My agency has done this for dozens of 7 and 8 figure SaaS and tech companies. We've built out complete client acquisition systems that drive real ARR, predictable pipeline, and book demos every single month. And we can do this for you too. So if you want our team to build out your complete client acquisition system so you can finally scale predictably, click the first link in the description to book a call with me directly, and I'll see you there.